Episode 29, Fairies Fantasia. We begin right where we left off, with the Winx and Selena having emerged from the newly restored Legendarium, which Selena quickly grabs a hold of. While the Winx use their new Mythix powers to hold off the rivers of the underworld, Selena focuses on helping Coditorta, Avalon, and the Specialists, with Bloom assuring them that they can trust her. Frustrated by this, Acheron's fury boils over, with the other rivers joining their powers, causing the Palace of Tartarus to crumble around them. The Winx escape, watching as the palace falls apart, leading to 4 literal rivers surrounding Magic City. Wanting to make sure everyone in Magic City is okay, the Winx rush over there, meeting up with Selena and the others. Everyone is grateful to see that the Winx are still here, with Griffin joking about yet another sparkly fairy form to save the day that they've conveniently stumbled upon. The rivers are nowhere to be found, though Selena says they must be finishing their ritual elsewhere. Roxy asks if Selena can't stop them since she has the new Legendarium, but Selena explains that so long as Acheron has her powers, he'll be able to summon creatures uninterrupted. Right on time, Eldora arrives, telling Selena that she must keep faith in herself as the Legendarium's true current owner. The Winx, meanwhile, begin to feel tired, and they wind up reverting back into Ardorix. Eldora explains that it is a side effect of Mythix. Given it holds the power of fantasy, it is naturally most useful within the Legendarium world. In reality, though, it is a useful booster to their existing powers, but there is a risk of the Winx overexerting themselves if they aren't careful. Tecna likens it to their old Charmix power-ups. It could enhance their base forms, but they could only use it for short periods of time, and risked wearing it out if they weren't careful. Bloom asks Tecna how she remembered that, but while she's hopeful, there isn't time to speculate upon it. In any case, they're going to need to save Mythix for when Acheron and the rivers unleash whatever they have planned. Since Selena can sense the river's energy, she should be able to locate them. Though the Winx want to go with her, Selena says that they should stay here as their power will be needed to defend Magic City. Bloom, however, demands to go with her to keep her safe, especially since she has no magic of her own right now. Selena concedes, and so she and Bloom head off to stop the rivers, while the other Winx remain in Magic City, preparing for whatever chaos is about to come their way. As they head off towards the Barrier Mountains, Bloom jokes about how this is almost as stressful as that time Selena's pet snake got loose at Bloom's house. Selena swears it was just a harmless garter snake, but Bloom laughs given her parents were still acting like a python or a cobra was around the corner ready to bite them. Before Selena can say anything, Bloom says, "I know you're sorry." Bloom then apologizes back for making Selena feel abandoned way back when, and for the burn on Selena's arm. Through everything, Bloom reinforces that they've both messed up at times, and Acheron exploited their weaknesses to turn them against each other. What matters now is that they're willing to make amends, and together they're going to stop Acheron, and then maybe revive their friendship. Bloom assures Selena that she'd probably get along with the Winx eventually. The tender moment comes to a stop as Bloom realizes they're headed towards the Veil Mist Forest just over the mountains. As they spot the rivers finishing their incantation, they find they're too late. The rivers around Magic City glow brighter, and a ball of sunlight forms in the sky, which transforms into a winged warrior in golden armor with what appears to be the Solarian scepter. Taya, the Solarian queen who was responsible for Selenia's destruction. She easily breaks through the barrier around Magic City, and the Winx leap into action to fend her off, with Stella taking the lead. Bloom and Selena, meanwhile, talk about how they can stop the rivers. Bloom doesn't think she'll get much mileage out of Mythix at this point, so she'll need to save it as a last resort. Selena's not too sure on what they can do, but Bloom, being her impulsive self, decides to race in and defeat the sorcerers, thinking that shouldn't do their summoning, much to Selena's dismay. While Bloom battles Acheron, Phlegethon, and Cositus, Selena is greeted by Lethe, who is more interested in what Selena's plan is than fighting her. Back Back in Magic City, the Winx, even with all the backup they have, struggle against Téa. Hesitantly, Stella urges them to transform into Mythics, which does put them on equal footing, only for the power to quickly begin exhausting them. Bloom likewise struggles against the Rivers, only finding the tides turning when she uses Mythics. The fight is exhausting, and Acheron, sensing this, uses her insecurities against her, tripping Bloom up and knocking her out. Selena is shocked, screaming out Bloom's name, which catches Acheron's attention. He invites her to watch as he eradicates Bloom, which royally pisses Selena off. She jumps between Acheron and Bloom, saving her from his attack, only to have the Legendarium knocked from her hands and cry out in agony. Selena, however, recalls what the Trix and Eldora told her. She glares at Acheron through the spell, which throws Acheron off a bit. She stops screaming, then says, "You will not harm me with my own power." She breaks free, much to the River's surprise and Lethe's delight. Acheron asserts how Selena is powerless, how he is the one who gave her magic in the first place. Selena corrects him. Though he did give her the ability to cast spells, she always had a magical essence deep inside that all Earthlings are born with, and was liberated following the Winx returning magic to Earth. She is the Witch of the Moon, born of both Selenian and Earth ancestry, and her magic is all her own and no one else's, and that includes her title as the Witch Queen. Reforming her crown, Selena dons her Witch Queen outfit again. Calling the Legendarium back to her hand, she tells the story of a new company of light. A group of 7 fairies whose courage and sacrifice knew no bounds. This surge of power is felt by all of the Winx, allowing them to use their Mythics powers fully to turn the tide against Téa. Stella, claiming herself as Princess and future Queen of Celeria, the Fairy of the Sun and the Moon, will make her mission to resurrect Selenia and undo Téa's miserable legacy. Téa unleashes an attack, and inspired by Narcissa, Stella uses a mirror spell to reflect it, destroying Téa. Back in the Veilmist Forest, Bloom is able to destroy both Cocytus and Phlegethon. Acheron begins to fade but clings to existence. He yells that he is eternal, that he is noble, and he will return. Selena shakes her head, saying that the River's story has finally concluded. And for Acheron specifically, there is no woe left for him to draw power upon or manipulate. As such, Acheron fades away, presumably into oblivion. Lethe, however, does not fade. Instead, they begin to recall their past self as Mnemosyne, the pool of memory. They'd wanted to forget so much, and thus chose to go with Acheron and become the River of Oblivion. With this, Lethe breaks the seal on themselves, becoming Mnemosyne once again, and also breaking the effects of the Lethe spell. This restores all the memories of the Winx and Faragonda. With that, Mnemosyne bows to Selena before fading back into the Legendarium world to reunite with Styx. With the Rivers defeated, the Winx use their Mythics powers to restore the land around Magic City, as well as the second son of Celeria. Episode 30, End of an Era. We begin at Alfea, where repairs are still underway, but everyone seems to be in good spirits. Faragonda and Griffin have a chat about how this kind of chaos seems normal at this point. Faragonda thanks Griffin for looking after her girls while both she and Alfea were out of commission, to which Griffin jokes about how it served as a chance to remind the fairies of the respect they ought to show to their witch allies. Griffin asks how the Winx are doing, to which Faragonda says they're still asleep, but appear to be recovering quite well. Right on cue, Bloom awakens to find the other Winx having recently woken up in the infirmary. As Stella welcomes her to the land of the living, Roxy explains that they've been talking about how the last person up would owe the others a night out on them, to which Bloom jokes about emptying Domino's royal treasury. Stella recounts their mission to Domino when they first learned about Bloom's power. and admittedly envies the beauty of Domino's crown. Bloom is caught off guard by this, and the other Winx confirm that all of their memories have been returned. The Lethe spell has indeed been broken. Tearing up, the Winx enjoy a long group hug, and of course individual hugs as they're all happy to remember each other. Faragonda greets the girls, glad to see they're finally awake, and confirming she too is free of the Oblivion spell. She explains that the Winx collapsed after their victory, as using mythics to the degree they did simply wore them out. Bloom asks about Selena, and Faragonda says that she brought Bloom back to Alfea, then turned herself in for her actions. After talking it over, the professors decided to send Selena to Lightrock Monastery for rehabilitation, given her clear remorse for her actions and her efforts in stopping the rivers. The Legendarium, meanwhile, is currently being kept in the Hall of Enchantments, though Selena suggested that its ownership go to Stella, given her being the Princess of Celeria and an advocate for Selenian culture. Bloom feels a bit odd, but the Winx encourage her to go see Selena, as they can tell it's immediately on her mind. Meanwhile, they're gonna rest up here at Alfea. Stella, however, has an idea on what to do with the Legendarium and how to do right by Selenia and Queen Hecate, which will require her to take the Legendarium to Celeria. We cut to Lightrock Monastery, where Selena, dressed in the typical baggy beige robes and anti-magic crown, is admittedly irritated by how cutesy everything here is. She goes by the lake where she notices Tritanus in the water. When Selena confirms that it's him, she mentions that she's heard quite a bit about him from Icy. Though he is hesitant to talk further, Selena tries to break the ice, ironically enough, about their thing for cold-hearted witches that got them into real trouble. And Tritanus can't help but laugh about that. Though it'll be a bit awkward, Selena's at least determined to make a couple friends here. And as cheesy as Tritanus finds that, he does appreciate that Selena isn't all pure rainbows and sunshine like everybody else here. The Templars walk over, telling Selena she has a visitor. We cut to the gardens, where Bloom runs up to hug Selena the moment she sees her. Selena does complain about how bright and overly happy this place is. It's completely cramping her style. Still, a couple years here doesn't seem too bad. Bloom promises to visit regularly, and when Selena is out, they can start fresh. And Selena likes that idea. Bloom even suggests that they use Tecna's virtual reality goggles so they can see the magical universe from within Lightrock. When Selena says there's no way that would ever be allowed, Bloom says they can just smuggle them in, which really surprises Selena, given she'd always pegged Bloom for a goody two-shoes. Stella, meanwhile, arrives at the Celerian Royal Palace, where she reunites with her parents. They are grateful that she's alive and well, and Radius apologizes profusely for how he has acted. He says that he loves Stella, and he never wants to lose her, and if embracing her Selenian heritage is important to her, then honoring it is important to him. Stella thanks him and says they'll need to do a lot of work to restore Selenia. She hopes that one day the kingdoms of the Sun and Moon will be able to once again shine side by side. In fact, during all of her research, she learned that Celeria, before its conquest, had another name, Vesperos, the world of the stars and the heavens. She then entrusts the Legendarium to her mother for the time being, saying they should use it for historical purposes like Queen Hecate had always done. Back at Alfea, Bloom and Stella return. Bloom apologizes again to all of the Winx for how she acted during the Lethe spell, and for trying to forcibly keep them all together. The others forgive her and admit they've all missed the old days where they could just enjoy their time at Alfea as students, even though they were still saving the universe. Roxy even misses their mission on Earth, as though dealing with the Black Circle was a nightmare, she does kind of miss them all, and she does kind of miss the low-key life they all enjoyed in Gardenia. Though the Winx are all going to focus on their own lives and goals, they still decide to make an effort to keep in touch with each other, and to have at least one day a week they all meet up for lunch and a day out, no matter how busy they get. What follows is a montage over the next few weeks, where we see what each of the Winx are up to in their own lives. Bloom visits Selena at Lightrock Monastery, where we see in the background that Tritanus' family is here to visit him as well. Bloom also resumes her teaching position at Alfea. Stella is on Celeria, where she speaks before a crowd about Selenia's history, and even summons Queen Hecate forth from the Legendarium to speak. After her speech, she and Brandon have a cute little date night. Flora and Helia create their own home on Linfea, where they can garden, do origami, and just relax while spending more time together when Flora isn't teaching at Marigold Institute. Musa has her own apartment on Melody, and is determined to write and produce an entire debut album, with some help from Riven. Tekna and Timmy, having moved in together in Magic City, are currently developing video games together. Naboo, who is now more recovered, enjoys a vacation to Gardenia, where he and Aisha go swimming near the Fruity Music Bar. And Roxy, after finishing classes for the day, goes out with Nut and a new group of friends to Magic City. After the montage, we see the Winx meet up together in Magic City to celebrate Roxy finishing her second year at Althea. As they catch up on what's been happening, Stella reveals that she and Brandon are indeed engaged, which the other Winx had actually been betting on. They're not sure on the wedding date, especially because they want to enjoy their 20s, but Stella does comment on how this ring that Brandon got her is far prettier than the ring of Celeria ever was. The Winx toast to their future, sure that whatever fate has in store for them, they'll always have each other even if they're worlds apart. In the Legendarium world, meanwhile, we see a far more prosperous Selenia. Eldora is pleased with how well Bloom and Selena seem to be doing, though she notes that the Winx's story is far from over, and the same goes for their three little witch friends. The Tricks emerge from Hecate's palace, confused as to why they're just being let go. Eldora says that the witches have felt quite lost for a long time. They believed their solace would be found in power, then in vengeance, but now she can sense a shift taking place in them. It is up to them to decide what their future will look like. Nodding, Icy decides that it's time to tell her sisters about her past, and about her plans for Diamond. If the Legendarium world holds the secrets of lost worlds, then some representation of Diamond must exist here as well. And so Icy shares her story with her sisters as they fly off to find it.